Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I am finally ready to share my in-depth long-term review of the Sony ZV-E1 camera. I've been using this camera extensively over the past several months, and now I want to share with you my honest thoughts and experiences. The thing that I love the most about the Sony ZV-E1 is dynamic active steady shot. It comes so useful in those walking shots. It's almost gimbal-like, and ever since I got this camera, I rarely use the catalyst browse. If you put on a wider lens, it is just like using a GoPro, but with much better image quality. The trade-off is that when you use dynamic active steady shot, the footages will be cropped about 30%. So theoretically you do lose some resolution, but honestly in most of the videos I took, I don't see the quality drop. Even in extreme low light situations where I had to use the second base ISO, the dynamic active steady shot footages still look amazing. The 30% crop might be a con for a lot of people, but it is the large crop factor that allows you to use an APS-C lens on this full-frame body. When you put an APS-C lens on ZV-E1 and turn on the dynamic active steady shot, the black corners will be gone. Unless you shake the camera like crazy, the vignetting will come out. I have tried putting on several of my APS-C lenses on ZV-E1 and got amazing results. You might be thinking, putting an APS-C lens on a full-frame camera is a waste, but when you are using dynamic active steady shot, the edges will be cropped anyway, so you're actually not wasting any pixel. By the way, many thanks to my amazing audience. In the comment area of this video, there is a long discussion about which APS-C lens works better on ZV-E1, so make sure you check that video out for more information. Speaking of APS-C lenses, we must talk about how small and lightweight this camera is. I have taken this little monster with me on many day trips. Sometimes I already have my A7 IV with me because I needed to take photos, but I still brought the ZV-E1 with me anyway. It's so lightweight, so bringing an extra camera doesn't bother me at all. And it is even better if you put on a lightweight APS-C lens, like the Sony 10 to 20mm f4. In the Sony ZV-E1 pros and cons video, I mentioned that I don't like the second base ISO at 12800 because I had to use a high ISO number and then put on an ND filter. It is not very intuitive and not user-friendly, but in the past few months, I found that I actually like this feature, and in fact, it only took me a couple of weeks to get used to it. You can see in this camping video, it was extremely dark. I was using the Sigma 18 to 50mm f2.8 lens. It's not a super fast lens, but you can see when I shot in S-Log3 and set the ISO to 12800, it looks clean and sharp. Once you know the camera well enough, you can develop your own system of which ISO number you should set. For example, when it is very bright, I would shoot in HLG or S-Cinetone because the base ISO is 100. And if I need the ISO number between 640 and 1600, I would use S-Log3 because the first base ISO of S-Log3 is 640. And if I need ISO around 2000 and above, I would shoot in S-Cinetone again because 2000 is the second base ISO of S-Cinetone. And when I need ISO higher than 5000, I would just shoot in S-Log3 and set the ISO to 12800 and add a variable ND filter if it is too bright. This system works perfectly for me. For more detailed low-light test, feel free to check this video out. The high frame rate options are fantastic for slow motion shots. A couple of weeks ago, the firmware update has allowed this camera to shoot 4K 120p with only 10% crop. Before this update, I have always thought the 4K 60p footage is already good enough for me. But the 5x slow motion looks amazing and magical, combined with the great autofocus ability, especially the real-time IA autofocus, which checks subjects accurately even when moving. This camera really takes videos into the next level. Before I got this camera, I was really excited about the auto framing function. However, after testing how it performed, I basically never used this function because I don't think it is reliable. Well, sometimes it works well, but there are instances when it checks the wrong subject or cuts off my head in video, which is very frustrating and forces me to record the video again. So I would rather use normal video mode and adjust the framing in post-production manually if it is needed. I have made a comparison video between Sony ZV-E1 and A7 IV, as well as ZV-E1 versus ZV-E10. And honestly, when you look at photos on your phone or even on a normal-sized computer screen, in most cases you cannot tell the difference between a 12-megapixel sensor camera and cameras with higher resolution. The photos taken with the ZV-E1 is a lot better than I had expected, and in low-light environment, it performs even better than the ZV-E10. But of course, if you have the need to crop the image a lot or print it out in large scale, then of course the A7 IV will be more suitable for you or any other hybrid cameras. One thing to keep in mind is that, remember I said that APS-C lenses work well on ZV-E1? Well, that is only for videos. Taking photos with ZV-E1 with APS-C lenses is not recommended because you will end up with photos of extremely low pixels. You will not have any room to adjust the composition. I have done some overheating tests in the past, and after the firmware update, I did another test of 4K 120p, and here is the results. For me, overheating is not an issue at all because I never had the need to record continuously. Most of the time, I just record a lot of short clips, and overheating never happened when I do that. But if you really need continuous recording, or maybe you live in a very hot area, then this camera is not your best choice. Get an A7S III or maybe FX30 would be more suitable for you. I know a lot of people will be confused which camera to buy since there are so many amazing cameras in the Sony system, and especially after the powerful A6700 APS-C camera was released. This is why I made a whole comparison about Sony ZV-E1 versus some of the most popular Sony cameras. This camera is designed for videographers, not for photographers or hybrid shooters. So once we get it clear, it is very easy to decide. Personally, I think the two best features of this camera are its stabilization and extreme low light capacity. These two features alone are worth buying the camera. However, if you rarely work with the camera and your primary use is panning or shooting still videos, or if you don't require that kind of extreme low light performance, then there are plenty of other options out there for you. And there you have it, my honest and in-depth long-term review of the Sony ZV-E1. Overall, I am thoroughly impressed with this camera. It's compact, powerful, and packed with features designed specifically for content creators. If you find this review helpful, don't forget to give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.